Welcome, welcome. All right, tonight we're going to be chatting about animals and frequencies, and especially the mysterious physical and behavioral issues that are really difficult to figure out. So, I'm I'm going to share some experiences that I've had with a variety of different companion animals, but I'm primarily going to focus on animals in this, but all of the information you can relate to yourself and people around you. Okay? But I'm just going to hone this in on animals because if I get into if I get into human mystery, physical and behavioral issues, that's going to be like a month-long class. Okay? That's going to be pretty intense. So, okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, and I think everybody here absolutely knows me, my name is Allie Phillips, and I've been an attorney for 31 years, primarily in the field of animal protection. I have spent 25 plus years volunteering and helping shelter pets, abused and neglected animals, rescuing animals, primarily cats, but working with all sorts of animals. And for almost 15 years now, I have had my energy wellness business, Manifested Harmony. So this is literally blending together everything that I do. And I'm going to try to keep it simple and understandable. Now, I am going to talk about crystals. I'm not going to go very deep, but I am going to mention some crystals. And if you love crystals, if you haven't taken any of my crystal classes, I have an online animal class coming up in November. It's broken into two half-day classes. And if you've already taken the basic or the animal class and want to take the advanced class, that's going to be online. That's coming up pretty soon. And I am going to bring back the Oily Crystal Master class because it's been over 3 years since I've done it. So stay tuned. That's coming back in January. And I really go into frequencies there. So, and that is specific to oils and crystals, but I give you a whole lot more than that. So just stay tuned. Stuff is coming, and if you want to dive deeper, there are opportunities. All right. All right. I need to oil up. I need to oil up because this can be a little intense. So, oh, that's a good oil, Valor. I just cracked open a fresh bottle. Okay, so everything that has ever been created, man-made or even natural, has a vibrational frequency to it. And this is what we're talking tonight. We're talking about frequency and how it impacts animals. And vibrational frequencies can be beneficial. They can be life enhancing, like the essential oil that I just smelled is a frequency. It's beneficial, it's life enhancing. Or a vibrational frequency can be detrimental and harm the physical body and the emotions and behavioral health. So, what what is frequency? What is frequency? Well, let me ask you this. What feels better to you? Sitting in the middle of Grand Central Station at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon or sitting in a spa? I think almost everyone's going to pick the spa because chaos, noise, other people, even if they're not saying anything, people moving is all energy. And energy can either make us feel good or it can drain us and deplete us. So I want you don't have to answer this, but you got to answer this for yourself. In your home with your companion animals, are you Grand Central Station or are you a spa? Because if you're Grand Central Station, that right there could be the answer to any mysterious physical or behavioral issues. Let me explain. So, and I go into more detail in my crystal classes, but I'm just going to kind of breeze over the surface, but I'm going to talk physics principles. So, because everything is frequency, we are frequency, our pets are frequency, this air is frequency, the water we drink is frequency, the food we eat is frequency, Wi-Fi is frequency, everything is frequency. We relate to different frequencies based on what they are. And it comes down to physics principles. And I just want to go through three of kind of the big ones that I like to talk about. So, the principle of entrainment, well, first of all, before I get to them, I'm going to be talking about high amplitude or high frequency energies, and I'm going to be talking about low amplitude or low frequency energies. High does not necessarily mean better, low does not necessarily mean worse. Okay, high means strong, low means weak. Okay, doesn't mean good or bad. Energy is neither good or bad, it's either strong or it's weak. So, in the principle of entrainment, when you have two energies that are of the same frequency, you have one that is strong and one that is weak. In the principle of entrainment, they are going to come together and they're going to meet on common ground. So the higher frequency is going to lower itself and the lower frequency is going to raise itself. Here's an example with, oh my gosh, I have so many human examples. Let me give you an animal example. You have two dogs that show up at the dog park. One of them is really shy and timid, not afraid, just really shy. That's a low frequency, like very calm. And then you have another one, basically a Jack Russell Terrier, who is all over the board, like jumping, running, super happy, super excited. And Jack Russell Terrier runs over to the really timid dog. If the Jack Russell Terrier doesn't blow it, basically, the Jack Russell Terrier is going to see, oh, this dog is timid, and he's going to calm down a little bit. But then the timid dog is going to get a little more active because Jack Russell Terrier was super friendly, spazzy, but super friendly. So Jack Russell Terrier lowers down, the timid dog rises up a bit. That's principle of entrainment. Next thing you know, they run off and they start playing in the dog park. Okay. Principle of resonance is when you have that strong frequency and you have that low frequency, but the strong doesn't budge. The low just completely gets pulled up into that. So a good example is you have, oh, this literally just happened this afternoon. Don't ask me why. Stella all of a sudden starts running race cars around the house. She was full of energy, super strong. Rudy literally woke up from a comatose sleep, woke up, bam, he jumps off the couch and he starts running and chasing her. She didn't budge. She's still running around like crazy, and she brought Rudy out of a stupor comatose sleep and brought him all the way up. And then they were running around. That's principle of resonance. Okay. The human example is when you go and listen to a motivational speaker. You're down here, motivational speaker is up here. Motivational speaker isn't going to lower themselves just to make you feel better. They're going to raise you up, which is why after you leave a motivational speaker, you're super motivated, but then the next day you're back to your old habits because you're outside the frequency. And then the principle of interference is when you have two like frequencies come together and they do one of two things. If they are like frequencies, they're going to come together, they're going to add together and create a whole new frequency. So, two dogs at doggy daycare that play and hang out all day, You got Bailey who's already at doggy daycare, and as soon as he sees Bianca walk in, he's like, "Oh my gosh, it's Bianca." And he runs over, and Bianca's like, "Oh my gosh, it's Bailey. I love Bailey." And then they're like, create a whole new energy wave of spaz because they're so excited to see each other. But in the principle of interference, you can also have two frequencies cancel each other out. They either butt heads or they just pass each other in the night. And when they butt heads, this usually happens when we bring a new pet into the home because we haven't figured out the new pet's energy frequency to figure out, okay, how do I match them with the pets in the house? How do I figure that out? Okay. So principle of interference can literally, they can butt heads and it doesn't feel good. Okay. So that's a brief thing on frequency. Let me show you this. All right. This is going to have volume to it, I believe. Lower my volume a little bit. Okay. So when we're dealing with frequency, frequency can come from sound. It can come from music. It can, oh, I must not have the sound in this. It can come from music, it can come from television, it can come from human voices, kids screaming, talking on the phone. And this is a demonstration using salt that shows that frequencies will literally create patterns. Okay, and I want you to keep in mind that animals, as well as humans, we are primarily water. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But all these frequencies are literally changing us from the inside out. So, the frequencies are changing and moving the salt into sacred geometry patterns. Now, I go deeply into that in my crystal classes. I don't have time to do it now. But I wanted to show this to show you what sound does. Okay, because animals have a very heightened sense of hearing, and a lot of sounds that we're okay with, they're not. And that could be a cause of what they are dealing with. So I mentioned water. So frequencies impact water. The human and the animal body are mostly water, and water fluctuates. Water is not stable, and water can be structured based on what it is exposed to. And, the body requires water because it acts like a battery for energy. Okay, we have to have water. Animals have to have water. So, according to the lifelong research of Dr. Masaru Emoto, he was the author of several books, including the Hidden Messages in Water book. And he was able to demonstrate over and over again that water is influenced by its surroundings. So, Dr. Emoto proved that water's molecule structure changes based on what it is exposed to. And through magnetic resonance analysis technology and high speed photographs, he proved that water can be positively influenced by uplifting words, prayer, positive emotions, even beautiful classical music. Now, the interesting thing, when you look at these are his slides of water under a microscope. They look like beautiful snowflakes, the ones that are uplifting and positive. They look like a beautiful snowflake. That hexagon pattern is very powerful. I actually go very deeply into the hexagon shapes that are in the body that actually give us health and give us strength. So that hexagon shape that the water naturally forms tells scientists that the water is healthy when they see that hexagon six-sided formation. Now, he was also able to prove that water is negatively influenced by hurtful or hateful words, negative and toxic emotions, even heavy metal music. So Dr. Emoto even tested putting crystals in water, and the water took on the molecular structure of crystals. So, through Dr. Emoto's work, he was able to prove that we can influence water, which means we can influence water in the body through positive vibrational frequency, such as crystals, essential oils, frequency music, having a calm environment, being careful of the sounds that are in an environment. And his work went on to create structured water with positive frequencies that just demonstrate that they're so fundamental to a healthy body. Okay. So high and low fluctuations in frequency can impact physical and behavior in animals and even humans simply because our body is 70% water and our cells are made of water. Okay. All right. Let me show you what frequency does to water. This is pretty cool. That just freaks me out every time I see it. That's just frequency hitting water. Keep remembering that animals and us are 70% water. Is that happening in our body? Okay. Just keep remembering that. All right. So I want to continue on with the frequencies that our companion animals are exposed to. So Dr. Bruce Lipton is a cellular biologist, and I mean, there are certain books that I recommend over and over and over and over again because they are timeless and they never go out of date and they are mind blowing. He wrote a book called Biology of Belief. A lot of you have heard me talk about it, and if you still haven't read it, now is the time. Okay, Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. So, the cellular biologist, he was able to prove that the DNA in the body has antennas on it that are constantly surveilling surroundings, and the DNA will reshape itself to frequencies that it encounters. So, anybody that believes that DNA is set in stone, no, absolutely not. And there's a whole field of epigenetics that that is working on this, that we can literally change the genetics in the body. So vibrational frequency impacts all of us. And I'm going to go through kind of the big ones that impact us and our animals the most. But there is an organization in California. It's called heartmath.org. And they created the Global Coherence Initiative, where they are gathering scientific data on how the earth, plants, humans, and animals are all connected and communicate with each other, not in words, but in frequency. It is fascinating. They've been doing this work for decades because frequency is a communication. This is how energy communicates. Words are the lowest form of communication because if somebody does not understand the word that you're saying, the communication is lost. Whereas when frequency communication is happening, it's understood by plants, by crystals, by animals. I mean, Stella just came in here to my office and she loves to give a look to Dobby, and Dobby just, he's like, I just got the look. I need to walk away. She communicates in frequency. Okay, so let me talk about some of the frequencies that impact positively and negatively. So let me talk Schumann resonance. So Schumann resonance is the Earth's frequency. It's been tracked since 1952. And the Earth experiences over 1,000 lightning strikes per minute that helps keep the North and South Pole and the energy field around the Earth balanced. Documented scientifically, this is not woo-woo. NASA tracks this. Okay, NASA tracks the Schumann resonance. In the past, the base frequency of the Earth has been 7.83 hertz, which interestingly correlates to a healthy body. Okay, this is why when animals are out in nature, like if given the opportunity to walk outside, a dog is going to walk on grass rather than cement, okay? Because they're picking up the Earth's frequency. Now, since I've been tracking the Schumann resonance for almost a decade now, and starting in January 2017, it started spiking. It influences Earth's inhabitants, and Earth's inhabitants influence the Schumann resonance. It's an energy exchange going back and forth. And the Schumann resonance, and you can look it up. I've taught a lot of you how to look it up, but just Google Schumann resonance today and you can find it. But it is spiking and crashing. And when that happens, I want you to think about a glass of water. When it's spiking, it's shaking and shaking and shaking. So that's shaking the water in the body. And when it crashes, it's shaking the water in the body. And it sometimes doesn't feel comfortable. Okay. It just does not feel comfortable. Now, the Schumann resonance, I have been tracking it to like mass incidents, like what happened to the Schumann resonance when we were in a COVID lockdown, what happened to the Schumann resonance when there were mass riots or, um, a mass shooting or collective fear. And the Schumann resonance does pick up human and animal energy, but we also pick it up and our animals pick it up. And when there are these massive global healing meditations, it actually calms the Schumann resonance on the planet. It calms it. So there are scientists studying how the Schumann resonance impacts the body, and HeartMath is probably doing the most widespread study of how all of this impacts humans and animals. They have 70 sensors all over the planet that assess how we and animals and even plants react to the Schumann resonance and how the Schumann resonance reacts to us. And you can look at the grids right on the HeartMath website. So, in a 2022 article in Journal of Complexity and Health Sciences, there was a study that was really discussing this and discussing how the rise in the Earth's frequency is related to heart issues. And those with cardiovascular disease are more sensitive to the Earth's fluctuating Schumann resonance. So I think we all agree that animals are far more sensitive than humans are. They know when a tornado is coming, they know when an earthquake is coming, they know when a tsunami is coming. They feel the earth far longer before a human does. So if the National Institutes of Health is tracking Schumann resonance to cardiovascular incidents and what it's doing to the human body, can you imagine how animals feel with this shift? Because right now, while nobody has calculated kind of the base steady frequency of the Earth, it is no longer 7.83 hertz. Just in tracking this for as long as I have, I would say it's easily doubled. We are easily at a base frequency of 15. And there are days that it spikes to 50 and 90. It's gone as high as 190. That's crazy. That's like sticking your finger in an electrical socket. That is outrageous energy, and our animals feel it. Okay. So let's talk about earth movements. Earth movements like earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, storms, bombs being dropped into the earth. They all create a vibration, and animals feel it more than we do. I mean, how many of you have a dog that has storm anxiety? A lot of people do. So let me tell you about my Sammy. Sammy passed away in 2012, but man, did he teach me some really interesting lessons. So he was very sensitive to frequency. And I often tell the story how when I was living in the DC area, I would come home very stressed after a long day. Usually I was on an airplane and I would come home and Sammy would just promptly vomit. He just would. And there was no medical reason. And the short story is we figured out he was absorbing and processing my stress and expelling it the safest way he knew how. And once I learned to not bring that energy home, he never vomited again. But what I want to share is how sensitive he was to Schumann resonance and earth movements. And this was before I really started tracking. So again, Sammy would get like really sick for like a week at a time. And I would take him to the vet. He can't keep anything down, nothing is working. And the vets would say, there's nothing medically wrong with him. Maybe he ate something. They always say that. Okay. Ugh, they can't always be the cause. Okay. They can't always be the cause. Then I talked to one of my energy healing teachers and I shared this with them. And he said, it sounds like Sammy is really sensitive to the earth's vibration. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? And my teacher had me track whenever there was, particularly a tsunami in Asia. He said, I want you to track it and then find out when Sammy gets sick. Find out how long of a time span it is. And it's like, okay, I don't understand what I'm doing, but I'll track it. And there were a couple of tsunamis. There was that, remember that big one? Um, that was really bad. What did it hit? Thailand, I think. Anyway, I started tracking things like that. I started tracking volcanoes. And if something was halfway around the world, it took about 5 to 6 weeks. And then Sammy would get sick, like violently vomiting. And if it was something here in the United States, it would take sometimes 1 to 2 weeks for it to reach me on the East Coast. And sure enough, Sammy literally felt the shaking of the earth. And he had motion sickness. So when I went back to the veterinarian and I said, I've solved the problem, it's motion sickness. Then we knew what to do. So as soon as I knew that there was a tsunami or a volcano or something like that happening, and then Sammy started showing that he was becoming sick, I had a patch that just went on the back of his ear, and it was a motion sickness patch, and bam, he was fine. It stabilized him. So the veterinarians were never going to figure that out, ever. In fact, the veterinarian said, I have never heard of this. I would never, ever, ever have figured that out. It took understanding energy and frequency to figure that out. Okay. Then we have moon cycles. I mean, how many of you struggle to, fall asleep or get a good night's sleep during a full moon? I mean, we just had the super full moon. I mean, it's still in the sky and it's really big and it looks awesome. Yeah, we are influenced by that. And if we are in our homes, in our bedroom, in our bed, not able to sleep, so are our pets. They feel it too. The moon creates cycles here on Earth. I mean, the cycles ebb and flow and create ebb and flow in water. High tide, low tide, we have water. It literally creates a high tide and a low tide in us. So it can heighten energies or it can calm energies. But we know that the moon moves water. There have been documented studies that there are higher crime rates during a full moon. There are more births that happen during a full moon, as well as sleepless nights. Now, add on to that, um, we get solar flares. So we are just coming out of what's called solar maximum. The sun goes through an 11-year cycle, and we were just in the middle of that cycle where we get more solar flares, coronal mass ejections, which have created all of these beautiful northern lights and aurora borealis. But the downside of that is that it is highly reactive plasma that is being hurled toward Earth. And that highly reactive plasma is very hot and agitating, and it agitates water. So I see it in people who all of a sudden get really angry and a lot of like violent incidents happen, but I also see it in animal behavior. Okay. So it can create a lot of imbalances, including incidents of anger. If all of a sudden you have, two pets that have gotten along and all of a sudden they're fighting, well, it could be a solar flare. Okay, let me tell you about Stella. This was this last year? I've lost track of the years. I think it was last year. Yeah, it was because we were really getting hit with the highest classification of solar flares. They're X class solar flares. These are massive. They can take out a power grid. They can take down an airplane. They are super strong. Stella all of a sudden was just vomiting, a lot of digestive upset. I knew it was nothing medical because I had been tracking the solar flares. So I knew what to do. I just started putting some digestive oils on her stomach and made sure that I was, playing calming music in the house. I was basically counteracting the solar flare by creating calming frequencies in my home, and it worked. She was fine the next day, and I didn't have to do anything medical because I knew it wasn't medical. I mean, always rule out a medical issue by going to a veterinarian, but in this instance, I knew it wasn't medical. I knew it was frequency. So, and she, like today, running around like crazy. That's how she is during a full moon. I mean, Stella can move during a full moon. So, we also have man-made frequencies. So, Wi-Fi, wars is a frequency, poisonous chemicals in food and water. I mean, commercial pet food is some of the most toxic non-food available, yet it is what most animals eat. Dry food is the worst offender. It's like snacking on Doritos all day. Zero nutritional value. It's dead energy. It has zero frequency to it. And actually, I would say it has a negative frequency to it because of what it does to the body. Now, canned wet food is better than dry, but some brands are very low quality and have a lot of chemical preservatives. So any sort of frequency benefit is gone because they've just put crap in it. So, do your research because food not only impacts the body, but it impacts behavior. I mean, think about when you don't feel well. Do you have the best emotional state when you are really, really sick? No. When we physically feel unwell, our emotions are in the gutter. We are emotionally a wreck. Same thing with animals. When they physically don't feel well, their behavior is going to suffer. So commercial pet food can be a problem because it's a man-made frequency. I mentioned wars. So wars, mass violence creates a frequency that is harsh. I mean, imagine a bomb going into the earth. If Sammy was reacting to tsunamis and that vibration just making its way over to where I was on the East Coast, imagine a bomb. Bam! I mean, the earth vibrates like crazy when that happens and not in a good way. So, when these things are happening or when there is widespread violence, I mean, a human reaction to that puts a frequency out there. Or even when an animal is a victim of violence, this is all frequency effect on the body and behavior, and it's negative. So let me talk about Wi-Fi. So studies are conflicting about Wi-Fi because the studies are really not being funded, and you really got to look at who's funding a Wi-Fi study. But there are some studies out there, and it is an unseen frequency, and all frequencies alter water and alter water in the body, therefore altering cells. So, is the constant bombardment by Wi-Fi healthy? Okay. Well, Wi-Fi changes the structure of water and the structure of blood because both are reacting quickly to radiation frequencies. Now, could this be why there's a rise in cancer and brain disorders, emotional and mental illnesses, and violence? Could be. Could be. So I'm gonna show you a study in a minute, but let me talk about kind of the last frequency that really impact animals, and it's us. It's us. And this one is a hard conversation to have. You know, whenever I'm working with a dog with anxiety, I can guarantee you the pet parent has anxiety. And that's really hard. That's really a hard conversation to have with them. But it's like if your dog is a hot mess, chances are you are a hot mess. We can work on ourselves. See, that's the thing. We have control over that. It's the things that are out of our control, like other people, that's hard, but we can control ourselves, we can control our home. Okay, so that's what I really like about this. We have a lot of control here. So with humans and our emotions, the energy coming out of our heart is the strongest. It's stronger than the brain. And that energy coming out of the heart through emotions can impact others. Heart Math is studying this, researching this, documenting this. So our heart energy with our emotions flows through our entire energy field. So we have this energy field around us. We are not just meat and potatoes here. We have an energy field, which is why if you ever go to a crowded event, you may walk away feeling drained. And it's because everybody else's energy, even if they didn't come near you, they were in your energy field out here and they deposited their crap. Okay. So our heart energy flows through our energy field and it actually goes out several feet in our energy field. Negative emotions that we feel create nervous system chaos that is felt by others. Animals are far more sensitive to frequency. They feel much stronger than we do. If they can sense an earthquake coming before it registers on the Richter scale, imagine how they're picking up our emotions. So, you know, when we react to problems or challenges in life, or we are emotionally reactive to events around us or that are happening in society, your thoughts and your feelings are going to produce a pattern out of your heart, and that pattern goes into your electromagnetic field. That's because thoughts create electrical charges and feelings produce magnetic charges in the body, the totality of which is the energy you broadcast on a moment to moment basis. That's why you can run across people and they either lift you up and you feel better, or they drag you down with their complaints and their draining victim attitude. And it's like, ooh, I don't even want to hang around that person. It's all electrical magnetic. That's what it is. So our emotions, if they are erratic, if they are unhealed, if we can't control our emotional response, if we literally are not working on ourselves, it will impact the pets in our home and literally make them sick. Like my cat Sammy, when I would come home and be super stressful and he would vomit on the floor. Once I stopped coming home stressed, he didn't do that anymore. Okay. So Something to think about. Are you always busy? Are you always on the go? Do you have moments when you are calm? Do you come home from work and you are stressed out and complaining? I always think about the therapy animals. They literally are taking the brunt of human emotions, which is why a lot of therapy animals have shortened lives. They're doing a great job, but it takes a toll on them. And when we're with our pets, are we with them? Like if you walk your dog, are you on your phone the whole time? Or is the phone in your pocket and you are just talking to your dog and you're, look, there's a squirrel. Hey, there's a tree. There's the forest. Like, are you with them? Because if you're on your phone, that can create physical and behavioral problems for them. And if we're just constantly in a bad mood around our pets, listen to this. This is a 2018 study that found that horses remember a bad mood and will hold it against you later. I shouldn't laugh, but I mean, I do a fair amount of work with horses, and it's like, yeah, they will do that. And it shows that they have a memory for human emotion. They remember. Okay. So when we're talking about human energy and human emotions, it just doesn't have to be that you're angry, you're afraid, or you're venting, you're complaining. What are there kids in the home that are bothering the animals, like screaming and yelling and loud voices? I find a number of cats stop using the litter box because there's so much chaos. And a cat that does that is literally doing the best way to get your attention because that's a great way to get your attention. But you have to decipher it. They don't like the chaos. Is there arguing in the home? Is there abuse or neglect in the home? Is there trauma? Is there a hospitalization that has happened? Is there a death in the family? Are you playing the television too loud? Whenever I get a phone call, I put it on speakerphone because I don't hold the phone up to my ear. Dobby doesn't like it at all. He doesn't like it. I have to go in another room because if I don't, and if he is within earshot, he will come over and lightly start nipping and biting me like, stop the noise. I don't know that voice. I don't like that voice. Like I can talk to him all day long. He's used to the frequency of my voice. But when he hears a stranger's voice, he lets me know I don't like this. It's too loud and I don't know that voice. So I have to literally lock myself in another room in order to take a phone call. That's human energy and what can happen to our pets and they will let us know the best way they can. All right, so let me talk about Rudy and how human emotion it can really impact our pets. So this was in May of 2018. Rudy, all of a sudden, one night, screaming in pain, he had bladder stones. And I rushed him to Michigan State University's emergency veterinary clinic. And luckily, I got him there right away. Otherwise, he would have died. He had bladder stones, and like they had to go in and take care of it right away. While he was there, my 19 and a half year old cat Lucy decided she was done and she started the dying process. And it took about 7 days. And so when Rudy came home, he had a huge incision. I had to put this like baby onesie on him to try to, protect the incision. And I also had to lock him in a separate bedroom. He just couldn't jump on anything. I didn't need Lucy, you know, not that she had energy to do anything, but it's like I have to isolate him. And when he came back from this surgery, it was traumatic for him. He was a shell of a cat. I mean, physically, he was fine. Emotionally, there was nothing there. It was like his soul had literally been sucked out of him. Then he knew Lucy was dying because I did let him in to see her before she passed. So now he's dealing with that because he loved her a lot. So, I ended up, and then of course, I was heartbroken over all of this. It was traumatic for me based on what Rudy went through. It was heartbreaking what Lucy went through, losing her after 19 and a half years. And so, when I get into things that we can do, one of the techniques I'm going to talk about is Young Living's Feelings Kit. That's Rudy and I literally smelling the 6 oils in the Feelings Kit. It brought him back energetically. It brought his emotions back. It took a while, it took several months because he was terrified with what happened to him. And then he comes home feeling horrible, and then Lucy's dying. It was too much for all of us. But it's all frequency when you think about it. Emotions are frequency. So this is a really interesting study. And again, it was done by HeartMath about a decade ago. And in this study, they talk about how every cell in our body is immersed in an environment of both external and internal fluctuating magnetic fields. So external being people, being Wi-Fi, being storms, and then internal, our own emotions that can affect virtually every cell and circuit in biological systems to a certain degree, depending on the specific biological system and the nature of the magnetic field. Numerous studies have shown that various physiological rhythms, so the body, and global collective behaviors, humans, war, mass violence, protests, can be synchronized with the solar and geomagnetic activities, so solar flares and Schumann resonance. And that disruptions in these fields may have adverse effects on human, and I would say animal, health and behavior. Isn't that crazy? We're now getting research telling us all of this chaos, if it doesn't stop, it, humans and animals are just going to be extinct. Literally, humans just have to destroy everything. Like, literally, that's what's going to happen. That's what we're going toward. Unless we really understand frequency and say, no, I'm not going to play any part of that. I'm not going to play any part of that. So here's another one. And this one's related to Wi-Fi. Okay, this was a study from 2018. And this one, it says repeated Wi-Fi studies show that Wi-Fi causes oxidative stress, sperm and testicular damage, neuropsychiatric effects, including EEG changes, apoptosis, cellular DNA damage, endocrine changes, and calcium overload. So this is the physical, like we're not even talking behavior, we're talking physical damage from Wi-Fi. Each of these effects are also caused by exposure to other microwave frequency EMFs. So having a microwave, radio microwaves. I mean, the Earth puts off all of these other frequencies, and those we can't do anything about. The Earth naturally emits these frequencies. We can't do anything. But other things we can. Other things we can to just try to protect ourselves. So, all right. So let's talk crystals for a second. So y'all know I love my crystals, and I'm here to talk a little more science and not spiritual at all because animals don't they don't work with the spiritual benefits of crystals. So if a crystal is very transformative and gives you courage, that's great. That's not what it does for animals. It's literally working at a cellular level in the body. So this is a tool that you can work with that is based in frequency because those three physics principles that I just went through explain how crystals work in the body. Because remember, I talked about a strong amplitude and a weak amplitude. In all of those examples, the weak are animals and humans, the strong are crystals. Humans and animals suffer from high levels of entropy, which is destruction. We fluctuate all day long because we're water. Crystals are millions and billions of years old. They dominate, they pull us up, they literally change us from the inside out. So, crystals can be very, very beneficial. So, here, before I even get to that, um, crystals are 100% minerals. That's what they are. They're made of minerals, and minerals are required for health. Minerals have a frequency to them. So it's not like we're eating the crystals like a supplement, but crystals can calm energy, can transmute those negative frequencies like Wi-Fi. I'm going to show you a video. And they can also raise energy by working with the water in the body. Okay. So let me show you this. So, for many years, I'm an advanced crystal master teacher. I've been teaching about crystals since 2011. So, and I teach the science, which then explains all the metaphysical stuff. And for years, I mean, everybody is like, black tourmaline transmutes Wi-Fi, and transmute means it doesn't just block the energy, because in the energy world, we don't block, because then it just boomerangs. Certain things transmute, which means it takes a negative energy and it changes the frequency into something positive. A great example of transmutation is you have the sun, it hits a solar panel, and it creates electricity. That's a transmutation of energy. So I kept hearing that black tourmaline transmutes Wi-Fi. So I ended up getting an EMF detector. This is my computer. The electrical was going off the grids, and then I put a black tourmaline. This is why I have black tourmaline between me and my laptop, to protect me, to even protect Lucy's, or not Lucy, Stella is in here. That is shungite. Shungite is a very protective crystal. That's Newmite, comes from Greenland. That's probably one of the best ones. So it's not woo woo when people say it. It literally is science. And I have, in all my classes, I go around the house and it's like, let's test everything. Let's test the microwave. Let's test the coffee pot. The Wi-Fi router. So my Wi-Fi router, I have it up on a curio cabinet to kind of get it off the ground from the cats, but it is surrounded in those crystals to protect it. So these are little things that you can do. All right. And then I want to show you this video. I actually show this in my animal class, and I want you to look at the physical reaction of this horse when I introduce crystals. I want you to look at what her body does, rippling, twitching, that sort of thing. Okay, so clear quartz. It's not a snack. It's not a snack, you silly.
That was funny. Must have salt on it. What if it tastes good?
It's not a snack. So if it's not too pointed, you can do straight on the body, just like a brush. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm brushing her directly on the body with a clear quartz cluster.
I think that was from the stuff, I'm sure.
And she reacted.
Because there were flies back here. Oh, was there? Okay. Yeah. But she usually doesn't shake like that, though.
She doesn't?
No.
That was unusual?
Never.
Well, this is clear quartz. This is quite powerful.
Okay.
That was an energy release. She was shaking off some frequency. That was a very sick, stressed out horse. That's why I was working on her.
She liked that.
See the twitch in the belly? Right down the spine. That's where she was sick. She was having major colic issues. Because it is too twitchy for them. So I'm about anywhere from 3, 4, 5 inches off the body. And I'm not even touching the body. they're quartz. Nice. All right, let's try amethyst. This is an amethyst cluster.
Is that more powerful than the quartz or?
No, the quartz is very powerful.
Gotcha.
She's like, it tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
So this is amethyst. It's a calming crystal. I'm going to go straight on the body.
Okay.
She seems calmer.
See how calm she's getting?
Amethyst is a calming crystal.
Okay, because see, her
That's
head's
good to
lower
know.
than her mouth. Yeah, that is good. And I just bought some amethyst.
Awesome.
And so just a palm size.
Gotcha.
It can be bigger.
Okay.
All right. One more. What else can I eat? And
She
this
looks
is not a
sleepy.
carrot. That's what I was going to say. Selenite stick.
It looks like a carrot, but it's not, honey. Don't be fooled.
She's like, okay, yeah, it's not a carrot. So this one I am going to take off the body because even though it's polished into a wand, I don't want any little shards going in her accidentally.
Okay. So what will this do?
This selenite is very soothing,
Okay.
but it is a high vibrational crystal, so she could really twitch.
Okay.
We'll see.
But her eyes are almost closed.
She's relaxed with this one.
Very.
So yeah, this is just a very, very calming, very soothing. With a wand, I like getting under the belly
Okay.
because I'm not too invasive,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been some twitches. But you can just comb the whole body.
Okay. Oh, yep. Oh, well.
Nice.
Ah, there we go.
And when the head droops, that horse was very calm. Very calm. So when people say to me, crystals are a bunch of woo-woo, this is why I love working with animals. They don't need a double-blind peer-reviewed study. It either works or it doesn't because it's just frequency. Everything is frequency. Everything. So let me show you this. This is a video from Dr. Valerie Hunt. She's since passed away, but she was a professor at UCLA, and she dedicated her career to proving and documenting the energy field and even the chakras. So this is just a snippet from one of her videos, where she's using Kirlian photography. She's using some high resonance photography to document the energy field. So it's kind of an old video, but this is a dog that's on here. And you can see the energy field of the dog. And then watch what happens. The color changes for both of them, and the energy field gets bigger when he is with his person. That's frequency, and it's now documented. So there's lots of studies like this. So, okay, so what can you do? Well, there's really a lot that you can do that's in your control. So once you rule out that there's a medical issue and it's still a mystery, let's talk about the human-animal bond. I mean, that video just showed how the dog's energy field not only expanded but changed colors when he was with this person. I've mentioned HeartMath a couple of times. They study how our heart energy is healing. It can also be detrimental. So you got to work on yourself, okay? If you are reactive, getting triggered, that is your emotions telling you there's something here for you to work on. We can't keep pointing the fingers at this person or that institution or this situation. It's us. It's us. We have to work on it. And our animals are picking it up. I mean, that's why Our animals come to us when we're sick and when we're sad. They are naturally therapeutic. They lay on us. They recognize and pick up everything. Everything. So, working on yourself is helping them. It's their job to literally do this for us. I mean, that's basically their soul mission is to be of service to people. And I have way too many examples of someone with a very detrimental illness and the pet takes on the illness for them. Okay. So you can't talk them out of it, but you can work on yourself. It is this bond. It's energetic. Okay. It's frequency. Another thing you can do is just calm and ground nervous frequencies. Okay, human beings need to slow down. Most humans have dysregulated nervous systems. And so we send off a nervous, chaotic energy. You know, pets will sit with us when we are still and calm, especially when we're sleeping. They really like that. But they get anxious when we're running around. Like, you know, when I'm talking on my phone on speakerphone, Dobby loses it. And he'll start biting me and making this really bizarre, like poltergeist cat sound. He's trying to tell me to stop. He doesn't like it. So be aware of your energy and be aware of what you bring home. Okay? So the technique that I learned with my cat Sammy so that he stopped vomiting when I came home, I literally stood on my front porch and I took my hands and I swept my energy field. Sweep, sweep, go all the way down. You're sweeping your energy down, all down your back, all down your legs. It worked. It worked because it's frequency. Everything is frequency. Now, if there is chaos in the home, or if if you're dealing with farm animals and you have a barn and you got a donkey in there that's causing chaos, I mean you got to identify the chaos. But chaos in living environments keeps cortisol level rates very high in animals, and so the body cannot relax or repair itself. Okay? Um, And that includes our nervous system regulation. So I have an on-demand class. It is somewhere on my website. If any of you want it, let me know. And it's all about nervous system regulation. And I would really recommend watching it if you know that you're highly wired and, tend to be a little frantic. And the other thing that I do to calm and ground the energies in my home, well, don't do what I do. You don't need 500 pounds of crystals, okay? But if you had like decent sized chunks of black tourmaline, I showed you the video of what black tourmaline does to EMFs. Black tourmaline is incredibly grounding. It's iron and aluminum. That is grounding, okay? And you put it in the four corners of your home on your main level. I mean, you can do every level in your home, but the four outer corners inside your home, just put black tourmaline there. Put black tourmaline around your Wi-Fi router, in between you and your computer. Put it in front of your television. I've got chunks in front of my television. Okay, those are easy things to do. Now, if you want 500 pounds of crystals in your house, I'm your gal. I'll do that for you. Some of you, I know how much you have. You're working your way toward that. Okay. But black tourmaline, that's your friend. All right. Oh, I already showed you that. Okay. What are some other things that you can do? Not only you, but your pet. Drinking crystal water. So here's the thing. I teach this in my basic and my animal classes without going into all the detail. Not all crystals are safe to go in water. A lot of them have heavy metals. You don't want to drink aluminum or lead or arsenic. Clear quartz is totally fine. That's what I drink. That's what Rudy drinks. That's what all the cats drink. Clear quartz, rose quartz, amethyst. Stick with those three. Even blue lace agate, carnelian. Those are like the foundational ones. drink crystal water. You are taking on the frequency of the crystal and literally think Dr. Emoto and his studies. You are changing the structure of the water in your body and your pet's body. Okay, so this can really help you with the changing frequency on the earth and when the solar flares hit. Okay. Now, changing the energy just in your pet's surroundings. So let me mention real quick, like if you foster pets, they need to have a very quiet, safe space. Okay, you don't throw them in with your pets or just throw them into your house. Put them in a room. When I moved here to Lake Michigan 2 months ago, my bedroom is the safe space. All the cats were in there. I didn't let them out for 3 days. It's like, this is your space. Get to know it. I'm not going to overwhelm you with the house. That's all new frequency. So you got to give them time. Quiet, safe space. If you work or volunteer at an animal shelter, an animal clinic, a doggy daycare, or any other space where there's pets, you can change the frequency. So let me tell you some things that you can do. Oh, before I talk about her, um, playing sound frequency music. Literally, you can stream it off of YouTube. It's called solfeggio, Solfeggio, solfeggio music. There are 9 different solfeggio frequencies. They are phenomenal. Google it, solfeggio frequencies. Pick the frequency you want, go onto YouTube and play it. Throughout the day, I am playing YouTube on my television, and that's what I play, and the cats love it. So that's good for indoor pets. If you can get an animal outside, I mean, my cats are not going to go outside, but dogs, or if you have a cat that goes outside, when they put their paws on the ground, they are earthing. That's a field of science. There's a book written about it. They're doing an ion exchange through the bottom of their feet. Okay, it's anti-inflammatory, it's calming, it's very healthy, and it will help them stay in synchronicity with the Earth's frequency. Okay, so help them get outside. Now, my cats don't go outside, but I bring the outside in. I bring leaves, I bring twigs that are fresh because it still has the frequency of the earth. And again, crystals has the frequency of the earth. They literally come from the earth. You can diffuse calming essential oils. Again, make sure that they're pet safe essential oils. Let's see, what else? What else? Well, let me talk about this. So this was, when was this? September 2018. Hurricane Dorian basically destroyed the Bahamas. And before the hurricane hit, the Humane Society of Bahamas evacuated all their animals and they sent like 130 dogs up here to Michigan. And I forget how many, maybe 15 or so, were then transported to the Humane Society in Lansing. And a lot of the dogs were totally fine. But after 4 days, I get a call from the shelter, and Bessie was not in good shape. Couldn't keep food down. Everything's coming out of every orifice. And she shook constantly for 4 days. She couldn't sleep. And they said, she's going to die. There's nothing medically wrong with her. She's going to die. We don't know what to do. So kind of love it when they call me as a last result. It's like, it would have been great if you called me on the first day, don't you think? But when I met her, I mean, she was terrified. Think of the frequency of a hurricane, especially one that destroys an island. They're still rebuilding. Think of that frequency. Then think about being put in an airplane in a crate and you're in cargo with 130 other dogs. Was there any calming done for them? Nope. They're probably howling the whole time all the way up to Detroit Metro. They land at Detroit Metro Airport. They are then taken off the plane and they're put in a bus. And then the bus has to drive 90 minutes to Lansing, and then they come into a shelter. In the Bahamas, they have open air shelters. Shelters are not behind 4 walls. So they're put into a shelter with brick walls, and cages and other barking dogs. All of this is frequency. And it was too much for Bessie. She couldn't handle it. So I only needed about 20 minutes with her. I got digestive essential oils on her belly. I brushed her with a crystal. I did some energy work on her, and she passed out. She was exhausted, but she finally slept and she stopped shaking. So she was adopted 7 days later. Animals react to all of this. And it was baffling the veterinarian why she couldn't keep anything down. Now, let me show you this. This is my Dobby. Literally today is the 6th anniversary of adopting Dobby. This is the first time I met him.
Dino. He is hilarious. He puts himself under his blanket. What a sweet cat. Dino. You guys, he has so much personality. Oh, he's got so much personality. Come on, somebody's got to adopt him. Oh.
Yeah, that was me. Actually, that was the second time I met him. I put the wrong video in. The first time, he was under the towel, and I put Valor essential oil that I use. I just put a drop on his towel. And every time I went to visit him, I put a drop because it's the oil of courage and it's a frequency. And it took him a while, but by the second time I came to visit him, at least he was interacting some. Yeah, and then I brought him home. So there. But being in a shelter, he wasn't eating, and he was a 12-year-old cat. Okay, it's all frequency, if you can just think about it like that.
Dino.
All right. So what do I do for unexplained physical issues? You've explored all the veterinary medical issues, and the veterinarian throws their hand up and says, I've exhausted all my remedies. I don't know what to do anymore. Okay. The first thing I give the animals is Ningxia Red. It's from Young Living. It's totally safe. Rudy has been on Ningxia Red since he had the bladder stone surgery. So he's been on it 7 years. So when anybody comes to me and says, you can't give essential oils to pets, really? Bite me, because I'm going to tell you it works. Like, don't come at me with that. Don't come at me with your ignorance, because it works. Ningxia Red is totally safe for animals. Okay. I just put a couple drops, or depending on how big they are, it could be up to a half a teaspoon, and I put it in water, and then I put their food in the water, and they just drink it right up, and they have no idea it's there. That is the first thing I do, because that is a whole body antioxidant liquid supplement. I take it, it works miracles. The second thing I do is earthing. So if they can go outside, get them outside more. If they can't go outside, get your black tourmaline all over the house. Okay? Get the grounding crystals all over the house. That's a good start. Now, mystery vomiting and digestive issues, you need calming crystals. So it can be your black tourmaline, but it can also be your blue lace agate. Again, earthing is very good. Grounding, but we got to ground ourselves. So you really got to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I a contributing factor? Because I'm really super stressed out because of the chaos in the world. And most of us can say, yeah, I'm part of the problem. Great. Now you can work on it. That's not out of your control. You can take control of you. So you wear the calming crystals and you put your feet on the ground. Why do you think I moved to Lake Michigan? I was like, I'm here for a reason. But ground your energy. Okay? And then for nervous system imbalances, if you know how to do the raindrop technique on pets, do that. Okay. It's different for cats than it is for dogs and horses. If you need help with that, let me know. I mean, I've raindropped my cats many times. That's a good thing to do because when you don't know what you're dealing with, my two remedies are Ningxia Red, raindrop. Like you're never going to make it worse, you're only going to make it better. And I worked with some cats that had what was it called? Hyperesthesia, where they would look calm 1 minute and then just bite and attack and lash out, successfully use the raindrop technique. There was a nervous system imbalance that medication was never going to touch because it was frequency. It was frequency. And and the raindrop did the work. Don't ask me how, but it worked and I recommend it. But solfeggio music, calming music is great. And again, just getting crystals. I teach it in my animal class, how to put crystals in their pet bed, how to brush them, how to do these techniques. What do you do for behavioral issues? Again, nervous and anxious behavior. The feelings kit. That's what I did on Rudy, the feelings kit. It's 6 oils. I can send you the protocol. I tend to have cats smell it and have small dogs smell it. I actually have all animals smell it, but the bigger the animal, then I can also do a topical application down the spine. So if you need that, let me know. I work with grounding crystals, make sure that they are earthing, and then solfeggio frequency because they could be feeding off of your anxiety. Okay, I think every human is in nervous system dysfunction right now, the way things are going, and a lot of it is Schumann resonance, solar flares, other people's energy, toxic work environments. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen. And then if there's destructive behavior, solfeggio music. If you have a smart TV, just pull up YouTube and type in solfeggio frequency and look for specific frequencies. I think it's 528 hertz is calming. Just Google solfeggio frequency, um, find the ones that are calming, and just play that in the background. Okay. And again, grounding crystals, but it's calm humans, okay? If you're having a bad day, leave the house. All right? If you're fighting with somebody on the phone, go out in the garage. Like don't expose these guys to it. Okay? So, okay, that's what I got for you. So, does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Let me see the chat. Um, so when I email I'll email you all a recording to this. Reply back with what you need, because in the chat I'm not going to remember this. So just reply back to the email and say, please send me whatever it is you need. Okay. All right. What about barking at a particular person? It's a frequency. It's a frequency. It's the principle of interference. So the dog and that person are literally clashing energies. So there's the person can change their frequency. The dog is saying there's something that is making me uncomfortable here. It doesn't mean that the person's a bad person, but there is a frequency there. So that's the thing. This is where we become medical pet detectives. We have to decipher it. We have to decipher it. But if you've honed it down to a particular person, that's half the battle right there. You figured that out. That's pretty good. Let's see in the chat. Any protocol for 2 new kittens, newly adopted dog, old dog with cancer? Yeah, 2 new kittens, isolate them. That is way too much frequency for an old dog with cancer. Um, yeah, I isolate them. Not forever, but until you get things settled down. And that's the thing. I mean, like I can't give you a protocol because it's all frequency and I'm not there. I'm not there. So like you have to decipher what they are doing and you just have to try things. You're not going to make it worse working with frequency, but You just have to test things out. So new dog just got digestive issues from kennel. So that's medical. That's not frequency. So that's or it could be frequency from the kennel. But if the dog ate something, that's medical. So those are very different. So it's calming energy. And that's the thing that I find with most people. Most homes are chaotic, and we don't like to admit that. If you have any other human being in your home, I can guarantee you have chaos. Doesn't matter what their age is. It could be an elderly family member, it could be a spouse, it could be a partner, it could be a teenager, it could be a child. That's chaos because you're adding new frequency in. I'm not saying everybody's got to live alone in the woods, although I think that's the best way to go. This cohabitating with people, who came up with that? Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Cohabitate with animals. Okay, much better. So, yeah, you have to decipher the frequency. You have to decipher the frequency. Itchy dog. 3 vets do not believe it's allergies. Again, I would go to food. I always go to food first. If it's not food, if it's not anything topical, if it's not your laundry detergent, if it's not the couch that they lay on or the bed that they lay on or the toy that's in their mouth, most pet toys are toxic. If you've ruled out absolutely all of that, then it could be stress related. So again, you got to figure out the stressors. I can't figure that out for you. The only way I can figure it out is go into your home, and I guarantee you the homes that I go into, I get repelled. I get sick to my stomach. It's like, whoa. You may be accustomed to organized chaos. People who are calm and animals who want calm, they're not used to it. So this is a good opportunity to really take an assessment of your home, really of your home and all the sounds and all the noises and everything. I mean, Dobby at my other home that I just moved away from, he would have the biggest fit because there was a neighborhood stray cat that would come um, by the glass door at the back of my house. He would lose it. Okay, that cat wasn't going to do anything to him. That cat just looked at him like, oh, you're privileged. And she would walk away and he would lose it. And he would start beating up Rudy. And then Rudy would beat up Stella. And then Stella's like, I had nothing to do with any of this. It was all frequency. So when I prevented him from looking, especially at a certain time of day, the behavior stopped. I was able to narrow it down to that. So yeah, it's yeah, dogs, Cindy, I see your comment. Dogs that when she barked in her foster home, first of all, some dogs are barkers. They just are. It's like us. You can't tell a human to not talk ever. So is this dog a breed that just barks? Some do. Some do. And they should. They need to talk. Or did the foster home also have a frequency? It could be Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi could be the trigger. There could be, an electrical tower, those big towers. There could be one, if it's within a mile, they're going to feel it. So that's why you have to create the calm inside the home as best as you can. So, Dawn, I see. Do you have public crystal sales? Yeah, I haven't updated my website because I moved, and it's just I haven't gotten back to that. Yeah, I do a public crystal sale. I hand select the crystals and offer them on the Manifested Harmony Facebook page. I do it consistently every month. It's always on a Sunday at 6 p.m. And I give usually 5 to 7 days notice. So just be on that page and you'll know when it's happening. It's not this Sunday, it's going to be the next Sunday I'll have one. So, and before you ask, I don't have big pieces of black tourmaline. I have little tiny ones. So I have to try to get some more. They're sometimes the big pieces are hard to find. So, all right. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? Rudy, do you have a question for everybody? Oh, he thanks everybody for coming. All right. So, okay, I will get you this recording and then reply back if you just need anything that I mentioned. Okay. Just let me know and I will get you that information. All right. I hope this was helpful. I mean, now you got to go out and be a pet detective. Okay. So you know all the things that can happen. So now you just got to start deciphering and you know, just create a very spa-like healing environment and it'll help you and it'll help them. As Stella is spinning around like a tornado on over here. All right. Thanks for being here. It's good to see you all. Talk to you later.